Hello, my name is Jordi Ibern. I'm a Reiki, meditation, and mindfulness teacher, a therapist. I'm the founder of Kisetsu Reiki and Meditation School, an in-person and online academy. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, I would like to speak to reflect on a word that I really like, balance. I have many stories of balance, so I'm pretty sure that this is not the only episode that I'm going to record on balance. But I really felt like talking about balance today. I have many stories, but I'm going to share one. When I was 30, more or less, was doing Reiki, meditation, practicing yoga, running every day. I was single at the time. I was living in Barcelona. Rents were affordable at the time. I was working for myself. I didn't need much money. So I had a very, I would say, consistent practice. I was waking up 5:30 every morning, practicing meditation between 30 to 45 minutes. Then doing some Reiki, self-treatment of Reiki, and then I was going for a run. Self-treatment of Reiki was more or less 45 minutes, and I was running for at least 1 hour. I was coming back home, taking a shower, having breakfast, sometimes even practicing some yoga. It was when I finished almost 10:30 a.m. And then I was starting my day. So at the time I was already teaching, and I was telling everyone that if you wanted, well-being, happiness, and health in your life, you just needed to have a practice. You just needed to take care of yourself. I was telling them, do sports every day, practice meditation every day, do yoga every day, do your self-treatment of Reiki every day. And I could see the faces of my students, many of them older than me, sometimes looking like I could understand the look. It was like I'm not going to be able to do it. But what I didn't know at the time, it was that they actually couldn't do it. I was thinking that it's a matter of organization, it's a matter of will. It was almost like the American dream. If you want, you can. But it's not like this. With time, I met someone, so this person took some space in my life. Then I started working more. I'm very grateful for that. So it also took more time. Internet kind of exploded, so I had to go and transform my flyers and mouth-to-mouth advertisement that I had at the time into, emails, PowerPoints, Facebook, etc. So it took quite a lot of time. So eventually I didn't have so much time to do the practice that I wanted to do. But obviously my life kept going, and eventually I got married, and eventually I became a father, and then I saw another reality. I mean, with my life and my parents and family, and my wife, my parents and family not living close to us, so I'm living in other countries, it was just us. And then obviously to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning or 5:30 a.m. in the morning and to do like 3 or 4 hours me time, it wasn't an option. I understood that, well, sometimes even if you understand what is necessary for this well-being, for this happiness, for this health, life becomes a little bit more complicated. I learned about balance, and also I learned about moderation. And when we talk about moderation, we always talk about, moderation on the bad things. But no, I talk about moderation on everything. I like running, but I cannot run 1 hour per day because I have other things to do that also take space. So I try to run with moderation. I like yoga, I like qigong, I like meditation, I like Reiki, and I know all of them are very good for me. But I need to do them with moderation, because I also like spending time with my daughter and playing with her. I like working and I have to do it. I like spending time with my wife or friends, and I like to do nothing time as well. And everything takes time. I also like reading and studying. It also takes time. And I'm a person who actually needs to sleep like everybody else, and also takes time. So I need to do almost everything with moderation. And that's balance. And it's extremely difficult to keep balance in your life, because it's not something that you do once, and once you get it, it's over. No, it's not like this. It's an everyday game, and you have to play every single day. And the funny thing is that the rules change. Balance today is not the same than balance 10 years ago. But it's not even the same than balance 1 week ago, or balance in 10 years from now. You need to adapt. You need to be clear. You need to understand what you really need, what you really want, and you need to make space for these things. And it's like a puzzle, and all the pieces need to get together. And I'm married, I'm working, freelance, now I have the school, and I have one daughter. But I know some people who have like 4 children. I really don't want to know how they do it. But it's a different balance. You really need to make balance in your life. In our culture, Western culture, I think it's because of our background with our monotheistic religion, we always put things on 2 sides. Something is either good or bad. It is right or wrong, winners or losers. It's almost always black and white, light and darkness. Even when we write books, when we explain things, when we give advices, we always say like very sharp things. Sugar is bad. This is good. This is bad. An apple is good. A donut is bad. That's my sentence. But when I started learning about the Eastern philosophies and spirituality, I realized that they don't really talk about that. They always talk about balance. And they wouldn't say ever sugar is bad. They could say sugar is bad for you right now, but they cannot say sugar is bad, because actually the body needs some sugar. And they wouldn't say apple is good, because some people can have some fructose intolerance and maybe they cannot eat apples. So for these people, apple is not good. And sometimes your body is too cold, an apple wouldn't be the right food for you at the moment. You would need something warmer. And sometimes the body is too warm, that an apple would be the perfect food for you. So it's not like black and white. It depends on the context, it depends on the moment, it depends on many things. But let me put another example that I really like. When I learned about Taoism, and I learned the meaning of the yin-yang, which I really love, because I think it explains perfectly how the universe works, I understood that it's a big dance between light and darkness, between feminine and masculine, between cold and hot, between up and down, between all the opposites. But it's a dance, you can see it on the drawing. The white becomes the dark, and the dark becomes the white. Even in the white spot, there's the seat of the darkness, and the dark side, there's the seat of the light. When I understood it well, it was like, okay, well-being or balance is when you know how to play with both, the right amount of light, the right amount of darkness. Light when light is necessary, darkness when darkness is necessary. Let's change these names. Light is activity, and darkness is quietness or rest. The right amount of activity and the right amount of rest, it's healthy. But when we took this idea to the West, we filtered it through our glasses, the cultural glasses. Everybody has cultural glasses, family glasses, religion glasses, even if we're not aware of that. So we check this and immediately we say, okay, we have to enlighten darkness, bring light into the darkness. That's our goal, because that's the filter. There is no gray in our culture. It's always black and white, good or evil. But actually, sometimes we need darkness and sometimes we need light. Imagine the days and nights. It's the perfect balance. That's why nature is balanced. Or summer and winter. I agree that you can like summer better or daylight better, but we actually need night and winter because that's balance. So if we do a lot, resting is good because we have done too much. But if we rest too much, we need to do a lot. And I really like this understanding because then we don't have a list of goods and bads. We just understand that we are playing a game every day and we need to find balance in everything that we do. If we haven't been practicing for a while, we really need to go back to practice. Otherwise, the energy of this crazy rush that now we're living, it will obviously take it with us. But if you have been like isolated for 2 years in the middle of the mountains, maybe you need to come back to the game. So it's always about finding your center and knowing when you have been too much to the right to go back to the left, and when you have been too much to the left to go back to the right. When you had done too much, you have to slow down. But when you had been waiting too much and resting too much, maybe it's time for you to do things. In the spiritual life, unless you're a monk or a nun, we don't have the perfect conditions to have a very good spiritual life. I have a friend, he's a Buddhist monk on the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh. He lives in Plum Village in France, and he once told me, my biggest challenge was to become a monk. The decision was extremely hard for me because I really wanted to, but I understood that to become a monk, it was letting go many things, like things that you, me, normal people could do easily. If I feel like going for an ice cream, I go. If I feel like going to watch a movie on the cinema, I can go. But when you become a monk, these things change radically. It's not that you will not have children or you will not get married. It's bigger than that. It's like you're actually letting go many things that we do naturally, like taking normal holidays. So he told me, for me it was difficult because I understood what I was rejecting in my life, but I really wanted what I could have. The perfect conditions for deepening my spiritual life. And then he added, for you or for people like you who want to have a spiritual life, but live in the normal world, the challenge is to keep your spiritual principles and practices in a daily life where nothing is helping you to have this life. And it's true, and I have seen it in myself, I have seen it in many of my students, and I know that it's hard for them. It's hard because they suffer. They want to have their spiritual life, but then they go back to work, and at 9 a.m. in the morning, all the spiritual principles vanished completely because there is almost war. It is a big challenge to be a spiritual person nowadays. But unless you want to become a monk or a nun, you really need to find this balance. For me, the best way to do it is to practice every single morning, even if it's just for 30 minutes, just to remind yourself that after this practice, you have 24 hours in a sometimes hostile environment, but you have to focus on what's important for you. the values, the principles. You have to be mindful during the day. That's the challenge. Because actually, we have monasteries, temples where monks, nuns live. And I think it's the perfect place to go and recharge our batteries. But where the real work is, where there's more suffering in the world, is not in monasteries and temples. In general, it's in the cities. And we need people who manage to have their lives balanced, to have compassion, empathy, goodness in them, to help these people to suffer a little bit less, to give them some support. For me, that's the challenge. And this challenge, it needs these two, to me, beautiful words: moderation in almost everything, and balance. And remember, balance is a game, and you play this game every single day. It's not a game that you can play 1 month and then you can rest a couple of months. You cannot take holidays on balance, otherwise you lose it. And it's, from my point of view, a funny game. You have to observe yourself, you have to reflect on yourself, you have to meditate to see the reality in you, to understand what you need and when you need it. And when you can't do it on your own, ask for help. Because in general, people, almost everyone, we are very happy when someone asks us help. And I'm pretty sure you're also very happy when people ask genuinely help, and then you want to help them. And helping sometimes is just holding their hand and telling them, it is fine, you'll make it, you'll make it. I'm here with you, you're not alone. So please keep these 2 words, print them if necessary, because they are the key of almost everything: moderation and balance. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.